Aha! You might have thought the previous video was the pinnacle of Restoration of Erathia campaign gameplay. It wasn't. We're peaking today. So, strap in, grab some vegetables and dip, because we're playing Rampart. The rules are on screen for a few seconds. If you enjoyed this type of video, please leave a comment, like or subscribe. Alright, let's crack on lads! Seeds of Discontent is basically a how to grail campaign, if you couldn't figure it out yourself how the grail works. I'm just saying, I could figure it out as a 7-year-old kid, so this campaign really shouldn't be necessary. But here we are. Only thing carried from scenario to scenario in this 3-part campaign is the grail and its effect. First scenario, go. The fitting name, the grail, is first up. Surprisingly enough, this is a really tough one to do deathless. The scenario bonus choices include Boots of Speed, which is a great artifact, some gold, which is useless in this scenario, and 4 Pegasi, which are necessary for my early fighting strategy. So, Pegasi it is. The goal of this scenario is to find and dig up the grail. No enemy factions are present. Finding the grail is done by visiting a bunch of obelisks scattered around a small map, which will reveal the grail location on a puzzle map. The grail location is always in the same general area, a highly guarded area to the north, so that's where we're headed. I start with 3 fixed heroes, Mephala, Yulin and Malcolm. A nice old bunch of lasses and lads. I reset a bunch until I start with some elves on Mephala. I'm building in town on the first 2 days and then never again afterwards, as there's basically nothing to build except for mage guild levels. So, mage guild level 1 and 2 is on the menu. The spells I'm looking for are blind and magic arrow. Slow is a nice bonus, but not necessary. Haste could also come in handy, and incredibly enough, I get all these spells this time around. Good start. The map provides me with a lot of free units. I pick up the 3 centaur captains in town and set out on my merry way. The Dragonbone Greaves on the path south is also a really nice artifact, as it makes my spells quite a bit more useful. Both Yulin and Malcolm visit the obelisks and are provided with some free army as well. The battle dwarves are mostly useless, but the centaur captains will have a lot of use early. I also recruit Thorgrim, basically just to get some more army. The first fight is up next, which is against a fixed amount of archers and marksmen who ambush me. The map is littered with ambush fights like this. Due to my 2 power, the magic arrow I cast on the marksman will always take them out. I then move forward with the now 1-stacked Pegasi, in order to draw the shots from the archers to them instead of on the much weaker centaurs. Which works! The elves, meanwhile, just fire at whatever feels right. Turn 2, I just massacred the extremely melee weak archers with my centaurs and Pegasi. Without the 4 Pegasi, this fight is extremely difficult to do, possibly impossible. Now, the idea is to level up Mephala as much as possible before the next difficult fight. I achieve this by fighting basically everything I can on the map. Everything has to be manually fought though, which is quite time consuming. The fight against the pikemen and halberdiers, for instance, takes about a minute of maneuvering around and whittling down with the elves, before going in for the kill with the bigger centaur stacks. Clean sweep. I'm not really looking for any skills in particular. Earth magic would be nice in order to use mass slow, but other than that, everything goes. I do already have armor, which is the best skill to have in this scenario, especially considering I don't have to siege anything. On day 4, Mephala visits a learning stone and a tree of knowledge, reaching level 6. She meets up with Yulin, who trades over his centaurs and the clover of fortune he picked up the day before. Mephala then takes on lots of halberdiers, using the same strategy as in the previous fight. This time it's a little bit faster, as the centaurs now do enough damage to kill at least 9 halberdiers per hit. Much easier and so much faster. I could move up on the west side to reach everything I need, but there are a couple of objectives I want on the east side as well, before I move towards the grail location. Taking on the 50 pikemen in the next fight, I used the exact same strategy as the previous 2 fights, with great success. Thorgrim then trades over his centaurs and the Ladybird of Luck, which sets Mephala up nicely for the coming fights. The first 2 objectives I want on this side of the map are the other Learning Stone and the other Tree of Knowledge, pushing Mephala to level 8 already. More halberdiers are then disposed of, before I move north. The magic well will come in very handy, as I need the mana for a few fights soon. This fight against the centaur captains could actually sometimes be a run killer, since they move first. If either stacks gets morale, I lose at least an elf, and there's 0 counterplay. This is where haste comes in handy though, as it lets my centaurs outspeed and take the captains out in 2 clean hits. 4 Grand Elves then join my army, before I scare away the archers. I don't want to risk losing anything against ranged units if I don't have to. The archers guard the final important objective on this side of the map, the homestead. Picking up 14 elves in total from this is very nice, I have to say. Yulen and Malcolm are now retired, but Thorgrim is Mephal's bitch for the rest of this scenario. His job is to follow her around, taking the units Mephala doesn't need anymore and running some small errands from time to time. In the meantime, I'm ambushed again, this time by some traitorous elves. The grandest ones are immediately ice-bolted to smithereens. I wait with all my melee units and shoot with both my elf stacks. The power of Mephala's armor comes into play, as even though all the enemy elves focus my own elf stack, they only lose 9 HP. Nice! I then move forward with my centaurs and Pegasi, and on turn 2 I smack the elves back to Narnia, finding a spyglass after winning the fight. Good stuff. I then take on some centaurs. At this point, you might be asking, why are you showing all these fights? Well, dear viewer, literally all of these fights have some risk of losing units. If they didn't, I probably wouldn't show them, the same way I've done in previous videos. But this is the most risk-heavy scenario in this series so far. Alright, week 2, day 1. 40 mana, big army. Time to face the biggest obstacle in this scenario. The Garrison. Dun dun dun! The trick to this fight is to prevent the marksmen and archers to hit my centaur stacks, and to avoid taking melee hits on either of my elf stacks. This is trickier than it looks, as I need to use some more advanced fight tactics, which leads me to a question. Would you be interested in a video on some more advanced fight tactics and how to abuse RNG in this game? Because I have had some plans to do this, but I'm not sure the interest is really there. Anyway, in order to protect my centaurs, I first blind the marksmen, wait with the centaur captains, move forward with all my Pegasi, and hit the archers with my Grand Elves. I then defend with my regular centaurs. This disincentivizes the archers from hitting the centaurs, so they instead go for the elves, who survive after the archers have been hit down to a stack of 12. The AI moves all its melee units forward towards the elves, which leaves the marksman stack free to be hit by the centaur captains the next turn. But first, I blind the griffin stack, which is the most threatening creature stack on the AI side now. I then move all the Pegasi away from the AI's melee units, blocking my centaurs in. So it was kind of a stupid way to place my units, but oh well. The archers then do a massive 3 damage to my centaur captains after being hit down to a stack of 3 by both my elf stacks. Next turn, I start Operation Kite the Pikemen and Halberdiers. This is also the last turn the griffins are blinded, so I have to account for this as well. Having the centaur captains on the right side of the battlefield entices the pikemen to move away from the halberdiers, letting me take out the halberdiers with a now hasted centaur stack. Blinding the griffins again, I wait with my hasted centaurs and move away with my centaur captains, before hitting the pikemen with my elves. I want to guarantee the centaurs can kill the pikemen in one hit, which requires a bit of whittling down. The next turn, I realize I've painted myself into a bit of a corner. I can't guarantee both a one hit on the pikemen and the griffins, so I have to risk a hit on the griffins before the blind runs out. The centaurs take out 9 of them, getting hit back for a measly 1 damage. Whew. All calculated, of course. Retaliation then takes out the final griffin. Hits from the Grand Elves and the centaur captains take out the pikemen, and it's a job well done. This fight is intense, and took a lot of trial and error in the practice runs, and is up there with the general kennel fight in terms of difficulty in a challenge like this. I swing by the magic well to restore my mana before continuing on. I scare away the griffins, recruit 5 more Pegasi before crossing my fingers I don't have to fight the Pegasi right in front of me. But I have to. These can be a pain in the neck as well, if they get morale as there is no counterplay. Luckily, they don't, and I can cast slow on the closest stack of Pegasi. I move the centaurs down in order to set up hits on the following turn. I take out a bunch of them with my elves, and on the next turn, the not slowed stack moves into range. I need to do 232 damage to guarantee a KO, but I don't expect to take the 10 damage necessary to lose a centaur if I don't take out all of the Pegasi and have to take a retal. So I go for it, and it's a clean kill. The slow stack is then hit with my elves, and then the centaur captains for an easy win. I purposefully moved to take the swordsman fight, as there's an ambush attack close to the gold mine, which is much harder to do, so the swordsman is the safer option. A bit of ice bolt action and some big hits from the centaurs, and this fight is over and done. Moving towards the obelisk, I'm joined by 20 wood elves, who may come in handy later. Next objective on the map is crucial for the late game strategy, the hill fort. I start by upgrading everything on Mephala before moving towards the next big objective, the dragon cliffs. On the way there, I scare away some cavaliers, before I'm given an armor of wonder and joined by 15 unicorns, making my life a lot easier. Scaring away the second set of cavaliers, I take on the dragon cliffs. I split the unicorns into 5 stacks in the middle part of my army layout, as this will make the dragons come forward to hit the unicorns, which lets me hit them with my grand elves, then take them out with a stack of unicorns. Easy peasy. I recruit the dragon, upgrade it and the unicorns at the hill fort, and trade over everything else to Thorgrim. Now it's time to clear the map. I get the northeast obelisk, some permastats, and a couple of extra unicorns. I then get the next obelisk to the west, again joined by 20 wood elves, which are traded over to Thorgrim in exchange for this week's gold dragon. Next up is the northwest obelisk, some permastats, and a couple of extra unicorns. The next week, I pick up a buckler of the Knoll King from the tomb, before picking up the final, third dragon. Upgrading it, I face the final ambush fight of this scenario. A bunch of traitors, unicorns and grand elves. Ice bolting the bottom stack of elves, I wait with both my units, luring the AI forward. Since the weakest stacks are up top, I hit them first. I get a bit of luck and morale, which is earned due to Mephala's leadership and luck skills, and also her artifacts. I magic arrow the grand elves to death before hitting the final unupgraded unicorn stack. Next turn, I shield my unicorns and hit with my dragons. The AI's unicorns then hit my dragons for some reason, before I hit back with my own unicorns. Getting a lucky hit and then blinding. Still completely fine by me. All calculation, no fortune. I take out the bottom stack with yet another completely okay luck hit, and take out the final unicorn stack with my own unicorns. Excellent tactics on my part. I then realize I've missed an obelisk, which I just sent Thorgrim down to visit. No problem. The final obelisk reveals the grail's location, which is at the very top of the grail area. I quick combat some newbie unicorns and dendroids before I take on some angels. And there's an archangel stack. You have to be kidding me. For some reason, the archangels hit my gold dragons, thankfully. I slow the 3 angel stack and wait with both my units. The slowed angels move forward, only to be absolutely obliterated by my unicorns. I then take advantage of the AI's terrible positioning to dragon breath both the remaining angel stacks. And with some highly calculated morale, I even do it twice. Well played to me. Good fights. Quick combating some more trees, and I double check I stand in the correct position to dig up the grail before ending my turn. If you're unaware, you need a full day's movement to dig up the grail. Month 2, week 1, day 5, the grail is dug up and victory is achieved. Absolutely no RNG involved in the later fights. Nuh-uh. All excellent play and completely reproducible by anyone using the same strategies. Even though the actual gameplay wasn't that long, the number of fights I had to do manually and strategize in some way is so high compared to the other scenarios in previous videos. To put it in perspective, this script is almost 6 pages long, the longest for a single scenario so far in a for fun campaign. Ridiculous. I can guarantee you though that the next 2 scenarios will be much shorter. On to the next. The road home is the next scenario. The scenario bonuses are either Mage Guild level 3, 5000 gold, or 3 Dendroid soldiers. As I won't build anything, except the Grail, in my starting town, or recruit any creatures from dwellings and such, only the Dendroid soldiers are potentially useful, so that's my choice. The only objective in this scenario is to bring the Grail from the top left corner to my starting town. The Grail is on Ryland, and he has to charge through many neutral creatures and 2 enemy factions using only his starting army. Challenging stuff. I reset until I get a no dwarf start. I'm a strong independent ranger, and I don't need no dwarf. Yeah. Anyways, picking up the spyglass and getting experience from the chests, you can notice Ryland has diplomacy. I wonder if that will come in handy in this scenario. I go straight east. And what is that pop-up message? Dendroids might be sympathetic to our cause? I check up on the nearby dendroids, who are soldiers by the way, and wow! They join us. I say hi to some more trees, and to my surprise, they join as well. I then go back west and then south. And what is that pop-up message? Swordsmen might be sympathetic to our cause. And there are some swordsmen right there. Going directly there, and surprise, surprise, they join. Picking up some more experience, and we get expert diplomacy. Might still be useful, that. Some dendroid guards are further south, and of course they fight us? All dendroids are super slow, so this should be doable. I move my forces towards the bottom of the battlefield to focus down the cutoff stack, and they get a morale turn. Thankfully, they leave my guards with 6 HP left. I hit them back and take them out, but now I only have one real stack to take hits, the dendroid soldiers. On turn 3, I wait with all my units, before I hit the top stack with my soldiers, taking only 20 damage in retaliation. This makes them weak enough to be taken out by my swordsmen. So I just use that exact same strategy the next turn to take out the final 5 trees. Quick is not the correct word to describe this battle with an average speed of about 4, but it was efficient. Moving on, I find some more trees, which tie into my army for a small sum of gold. Some swordsmen also accompany me, and some more swordsmen then marry me? Hope you'll come to my wedding. Do I need all these swordsmen? Probably not, but you never know. I walk straight past the red town before some battle dwarves want to scrap it out, but they're just brushed aside easily. Both red and blue are pissing their pants at the sight of my army, and they probably aren't less frightened when they see the unicorns associate with me. I then head straight for the Pegasi, and to all of our surprise, they also intermix with my diverse army. Yes, I know the commentary is extremely varied. There are only so many ways you can say, creatures join my army. With all these neutral creatures agglutinated, we reach our final destination and build a coveted grail in our new home. Scenario complete. The final scenario in all of Restoration of Erathia is Independence. Mark your calendars, the 7th of April is our Independence Day! And the scenario bonus choice is between 12 wood, 3 upgraded animated wood piles, and 6 normal animated wood piles. Without spoiling too much, there's not a single fight necessary in this scenario, so I'm going with the resources. The 12 wood, that is. The goal of this scenario is extremely simple. Build a capital. The game robs us of our starting wood, with the exception of the 12 wood I chose for the bonus. The grail is pre-built, so I have plus 5,000 gold extra per day. The strategy is simple. Build stuff required for the capital. Town Hall is built on day 1. Euphraten's job is just to pick up the free resources and then just chill afterwards with his dwarf buddies. As the game will steal some wood every now and then, I build a marketplace next, so I can trade up for some wood if needed. Day 3, blacksmith. Day 4, I get -1 wooded, and the first trading has to take place. I'm swimming in gold, so I trade a bunch of it for the 4 wood needed for a mage guild. Day 5, I'm hoodwinked of 4k gold, but that doesn't stop me from buying a city hall. -3,500 gold next, and I'm out of wood. Good thing citadels don't need wood to be built. Day 7, and I have to trade a bunch of resources for the 10 wood needed to build a castle. Every resource except ore is traded, and I'm literally out of everything except gold before the next week. Thankfully, I'm not bothered by the AI, and on week 2, day 1, I build a capital and claim my victory. Amazingly difficult stuff at the end there. I'm proud I managed to pull such a rabbit out of the hat. But with all that said and done, Restoration of Erathia is actually done for real this time. No units lost at all. So I can safely say, yes, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Restoration of Erathia can really, actually, seriously, in fact, truly, literally, and genuinely be done without the unit losses. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll stick with me in the future as well. Some other games possibly coming up, and I will definitely take a look at Armageddon's Blade at some point too. Anyways, have a great day.